Hi, good day. I'm so glad to see everyone today. Here we are. It's fall still in November. This is a season, and I like. You know, I'm a real fall person and enjoy the colors while the leaves were here, and did a little peeping myself of the leaves. At this point, where the leaves are starting to go away and gone away mostly. I'm left as a city manager with the proposition that this is budget time. And then within the budget, the inevitable thing, which we just in Lebanon, we really have to face up to a very significant challenge. My last time with you on my last show, we talked about the budget itself and the budget message. Now I'm going to take in a segment of the budget, which is called the Capital Improvement Plan. That plan it's really a 6-year plan, but actually it is broken down to a 1-year plan for 2014, and then the remaining 5 showing projections out to the years ahead. It's trying to get ahead and do good long-term planning. The 2014 is the one is immediately before our city council and before you and the Lebanon community. I have looked at this really carefully as I'm now in my 3rd year. In fact, I'm finishing my 3rd year. So I've taken a considerable effort at listening, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I've had a chance to listen to all. I have examined the principles that have been adopted in the city. And I have kind of got a fix and kind of an analysis of the aspects of our city and our operation as a city organization, and then what's on the ground in our city. When you talk about municipalities, we're really talking about people, place, and tools. This is kind of just keep it simple. And that's really the essence of it. You know, the people is both internal customers and external customers. It's all of us. It's those who serve and those who are served. So that's a very high value. And our high value is we need to do a lot of listening, a lot of seeking to understand. We've got to do a lot of respect. Respect for me is that we want to be analytical in what is in the budget book. Analytical about the numbers, analytical about the facts and the cost, benefit, risk analysis, the strength, weakness, opportunity, threats analysis. But we really have to be softer on each other, building relationships. One of the underlying themes that's always with me is pulling together, not pulling apart. Lebanon will be best served in this rugged 21st century by pulling together and not pulling apart. The big elephant in the room, which I'll come back to, is our infrastructure. But our people, our tools, and our place are kind of call out for investments. The first couple of years here, I was kind of in a survival mode, an assessing and survival. Let's try to hold a line. Let's try to find out what our footprint should be. It resulted with some difficult challenges and decisions about laying off some positions in the organization, basically trying to hold the line and keeping taxes and trying to hold that. In the first year it was 1% municipal tax rate. Next year it was 2%. This year is an offering to you all and to the council of a pilot. I think that one of the things that we can be sure of is there's nothing to be sure about. I think we're all in a state of feeling of a certain amount of insecurity, a certain amount of unpredictability, a time of changes. There doesn't seem to be much help coming our way from the federal or state level to our assistance here in our community. So we really got to do it ourselves. And I'm recommending that we take a pilot approach. And a pilot it's before us today. I put it before the council, and it's before you in the community, and you can find it online at leadcity.com. Basically, the pilot is attempt to take us, and by a 3-year model, or trial undertaking, you might call it, to guide Lebanon, our community, to begin a first leg, only the first leg. And the leg is a leg of a challenging journey that's ahead of us. It's exciting to have challenging journeys. I'm not as good a traveler as I once was, but I used to travel a great deal. And every time you take on a journey, there's some uncertainty, there's unpredictability, what will happen, who you'll meet, what will it do, where will we go, what is the path that we're going to be on, what will we encounter, can we handle what's ahead of us. We need to do this. We need to take this journey, but we don't need to take it all in one swoop. We're not sprinters. We're more analogous to it's kind of a relay, a marathon relay, where we're in a relay, but we're having a series of relays, and it's handing off the baton to those who follow. One of the key points will be succession. All that is about that when we build things for our CIP, when you think about what CIP and you cut away some of the number thing, and it comes down, CIP is really looking at such items as really bridges and streets, and we're looking at buildings and equipment. All these things have to do with what a community runs on, and they can have pretty significant costs. Utilities, equipment, the airport. Often the airport is a conversation piece. When you kind of take them all and put a summary way about them, it's really an investment in the city infrastructure that's on the ground of various and sundry types and differing items. Then the city's places of work. Work is a valuable thing, and our ethics that we want to have and our standards has to do with the quality of our work. We want to be able to have a workplace that's focused on customers. And I'm always illustrating it by saying that's my 4 F's. Flexible. We want to be more flexible, we want to be more faster, we want to be friendlier, we want to be more focused. We need to look at that, and then the tools. And tools anymore have become technology. Today I'm talking about primarily place and infrastructure. I'm going to lead off with a little conversation about place in the CIP program. And in the CIP program, you'll see that there are a number of large items, but there is an item in there for place. Place of service, place of work. A community needs to understand what's best for it in terms of that kind of concept. One of the reasons I came here as a manager, I was very attracted by the City Hall. And so when we decided about what kind of place investments we should consider in putting in the pilot, I looked at all the different places we work, and the 2 places that have struck me the most has been the Lebanon City Hall and the places of being with you on your streets, in your neighborhoods, in your community rooms. Basically, the places are the places in which you live and in which you do business. The places of being in a business, listening to a business person. Being in a nonprofit, listening to a nonprofit. Being in someone's lawn with them as they explain their concerns about how that lawn, or how much the bushes or trees, or how that driveway they have might be affected on plans for infrastructure in their neighborhood. So those places, and basically the places of each of you, the residents, each of you stakeholders, and then the place of City Hall. City Hall, I called my wife the day I was sitting here waiting for my interview. And it was early morning, and there was a little snow on the ground at the time, and it was 3 years ago, almost in this close to here in December, 3 years ago. And I told her it was like a Christmas card to look at City Hall. City Hall is really the jewel in Lebanon's crown. It's the center of the Lebanon's community. It's the hub of the hub city. We're the hub city. The city of the fountain city as well. You can look at it in a number of ways: historically, culturally, socially, politically, governmentally, transportation-wise, or symbolically. It is the city's principal place of work. That is a wonderful thing to be. Unfortunately, the quality of the City Hall space internally is not up to the challenges of the Lebanon 21st century transformational journey to sustainability. You know, the kind of space that we're going to need in the future is not the kind of space that is currently existing in City Hall. Now, some say, and have said, well, let's don't spend any money at City Hall, let's move out of City Hall, and let's move to another building in the community. Well, I'd hate to take imagine what Indiana Jones would do, taking the jewel out of a crown and running away. Usually ended up in some sort of trap if you tried to do that. I think taking the jewel of Lebanon out of City Hall and take our center of our city away from City Hall is probably not the best thing to do right now, because it is the heart and soul of the city. So with that being said, what can we do about this situation? Someone talked about in the past they considered building an annex outside it and kind of move everybody out into the alley. And that plan was I think, considered, and it was decided not to do that. There was a number of things in play, and I wasn't around. I think our future in terms of our workplace is going to be a number of things. It's going to be a digital future. Digital future for all of us who are of a certain generation is kind of hard to understand. When people talking about things in terms of numerals and numbers and thinking about measurements and not being analog anymore but being digital, it really means is that we're not going to be a paper city. We're going to be an electronic city. We're going to be an e-city. We're going to be an e-municipality. We're going to have e-communication. We're going to have instead of having paper, we're going to have e-documents. And we're going to be able to do much of what we do with city business remotely with e-systems such as the internet, such as things yet to be seen. You know, we're all going to be talking about the cloud, and the cloud wouldn't necessarily be the clouds that I love to look at up in the beautiful sky, but rather they'll be the clouds in these various computer software backup programs. We're going to be talking Google. I think we'll be talking some interesting things in terms of social media as well, as it evolves, and if we can kind of conquer some of the foibles of it. So actually a place that's a digital city hall is a different place than a paper city hall. So that means we have need for less space, and we can do more with the same number of people we can do. But the place in which we need to be productive needs to be more open. It needs to be more accessible to all. It needs to have energy efficiency so that we conserve the property tax dollars from paying for energy. It needs to be waterproof. We can't have water coming. You know, these microbursts that hit us this summer and that tropical storm, I'm afraid that we're going to get revisited by those phenomena. And both times water was taken into the city hall. We can't have that in an e-digital world of an e-digital city hall. We need to be totally devoted to the customers and the residents and the stakeholders that come to the hall. Someone said to me in different visits that when I think of City Hall, I think about I think about dollar signs. We don't need that. We need to have this City Hall be the place it's there, where there's focus on people's needs, there's respect for the environment in which they work, both the people that come there to be served and those who are serving. Because there is a definite belief that if you are what you treat your customer. So you treat your employee, you treat your customers, you have to treat everyone equally and fairly, because we expect that kind of really high-minded, high-standard, flexible, focused, friendly, fast service. That all can be done in our City Hall, but it can't be done in the present framework. So the renovation project that's in the proposed pilot proposes take one step at a time. Not the whole enchilada, but one step at a time. And the first in the pilot is the first stage, and it's the kind of a chance to show what can be produced. And so in that first phase, is level 1. And you'll know level 1, that's where the planning and zoning department is. That's also where our IT support system is, and our IT support people. This phase 1 it's all located in the lower level of the City Hall. We're asking for an investment in the construction of $590,000. And then the equipment, furniture, and fixtures that will need to come with it to take care of a new digital framework with its efficiencies, environmentally sound air, light quality, and the efficiencies and costs of utility. All those things need to be taken place, so you construct it, but you also equip it up and tool it up so it's appropriate. And then contingencies, because once you get into a City Hall it needs to be historically protected, there are contingencies in the City Hall that we might encounter, and that's $65,000. Total is $790,000. Now that seems like a lot of money to I think all of us in our family budgets, but this is an investment. It is one stage investment, first stage investment, and it is intended to take us in our City Hall into 2030 and beyond. That's a modicum of investment that we hope that the council and the citizens will look at and decide about the appropriateness for the future of a sustainable community, to have the centerpiece of that sustainable community, the jewel of that sustainable community, be properly put together and organized in and preserved historically, so that it retains all that great history that's in the facility and be the jewel that it's supposed to be. So that's why we're calling for an investment. And that's a real big thing, because, Pumby says it's a question. The other is the infrastructure, which I'll talk about next, is kind of right in our face. It's the big elephant in the room. It's the elephant in the room. Here, while we have to face down the elephant and learn to live and figure out the elephant, we could take an opportunity. There's a window open that if we could go through this window, we could have a game changer for maintaining and preserving and creating a digital City Hall in our present Lebanon City Hall that will last to 2030 and beyond, with the same number of employees, but a way different environment, and it will give a different customer experience, both by remote connection and by actual presence. I think that the city has to model itself, and if your center is not in the proper state of condition, that modeling for others to do the right thing just doesn't exist. You're not a model, and therefore we need to be a model. And this is an important centerpiece for the city. City is only going to be strong as its weakest link. And if we don't invest in place, and we say we invest nothing but in people and tools, and we don't invest in place, well, that won't work. Because no matter how hardworking a team it is, no matter how much emerging technology you provide, if you have a space in which the work is performed is inadequate or not up to the snuff for the 21st century, you are taking away from the other two investments, and you're diminishing and diluting your investments to the detriment of the community as a whole. Now, going on to the big elephant in the room, which I'll spend the rest of the time on. The big elephant in the room is that our infrastructure in our community has run its natural life cycle. It has been a good service, a horse of carrying on and supporting the community, but it is just starting to run out. And there used to be, you know, nursery rhymes about we all fall down. Well, all the infrastructure we have will fall down. And it's in the midst of falling down, and falling down on different, it's kind of, some of it is a little random, some of it's not so random, but nevertheless, you know, the time has come. My uncle out there on the farm in Kansas, that I was his farm hand, he took great pride in making sure that if he needed to build a new barn, he built a new barn. If he needed to build new dairy stalls, he built the new dairy stalls. If he had to put in a new water system to water the cattle when they came up to the tank, he would. If he put a new windmill in, he would. He invested in infrastructure because he knew that was an investment that would last his lifetime and the lifetime of his family children, his farm family children. And so he made these investments. Our magnitude of our investment is very significant for the size of city we have. And that is a challenging thing. And when I say the elephant in the room, I mean the elephant in the room. What we look at this thing, like the total proposed 2014 city budget is I'll round it off. It's $52 million. And that includes capital improvements, these infrastructures I've been talking about $14 million of the $52 million. That's a lot. That capital improvement, and overall the increase in the budget is, I'll round it off to $6 million. That's about a 13% increase, higher than 2013. But if you excluded those capital improvements, if we took the elephant out of the room, let him out of there, you know, like you do in the circus, let him out of the ring, well, the increase, instead of being 13%, would be 3.6%. So really, of the $6 million, about $5 million is capital improvement, and $1 million is non-capital improvement. That $1 million is pretty well centered on investment in people, and the people investments often come down to things like the increase in health insurance, the increase in the other items like retirement benefits, workers' comp. But just imagine if our infrastructure was up to stuff and capable of taking us to 2030, and we took that $5 million on that $6 million increase, we'd have a $1 million increase in the budget. So you could see how important this is to have this deliberation. The proposed operation here, a lot of it comes down to wastewater in capital improvements. You know, we think about potable water, which is very important as well. I mean, God knows we do not want to have boiling orders or any of that kind of circumstances in our face. But that wastewater system we have, a wastewater plant, and water flowing, stormwater that we had where it was flowing into other water and then flowing into the environment. And then we got basically federal policy and law came down, and in both a regulatory way and then in a consensual way to satisfy the regulatory compliance, entered into a consent order which mended the CSO. But that wastewater is always there driving the issue, the stormwater coming down, the wastewater being processed. Because I think you saw with the Philippines just very recently, we've seen in the past with, you know, other places, Haiti, we've seen in South Central Asia, we've seen in Katrina, we see what happens when the wastewater is not dealt with. When everything breaks down to chaos. If we don't do anything about this infrastructure, what will it look like? So that's how this whole thing starts rolling through. When you get into the areas of this, the CSO, which is the separation of water and sewer, which was really stormwater and water and sewer mixing together, that whole business resulted in what we're having to do, and we're going to finish it by 2020, and that's a big investment for you all, but it is a necessary one in order to bring us into compliance. That investment here in 2014, it is mounting up. And so as you look at it and think about the size of the investment, and please do look at the website, you'll see that the 2014 investment is about $4.5 million. And it goes around that level. For 15 it's 4.9, almost 5. And goes to then up to 5.1, and then goes to 2.5. And once we complete that, then we'll start triaging the remainder of it. But while we're doing this mandatory federal compliant program, extremely robust for a city our size, our other infrastructure doesn't stay on hold. It continues to fall down. And we have found, then we have to get into one of the big items we've had to find into is we had to go out in Heater and Etna and 120 area, where once again we've had wastewater that's falling apart. And we have to do something with regards to that. And so we've got to initiate a change. And that is additional costs of about almost $1.9 million. And the strangest thing about that infrastructure cost is that we didn't think we're going to have to, we already had earlier additional costs in that area of 2.1, and we had to add the additional costs in the proposal because it was encountered we couldn't go under the interstate with the sleeve that was under the interstate because they had put concrete in it. Somebody did back in when the interstate was going. Those are the two big things. Our water plan is being updated, and that's a very large item for us. But it's a very important one. It is also deteriorating. So when you talk about the CSO, you talk about the Heater Etna Road, and you talk about the wastewater, you know these are really the essence of the items. Now we also have to replace our equipment. You'll see that, from an ambulance to the personal protection gear. We got to make sure our firefighters and our console has run at the police department for communication has run its course, and it too needs to be replaced. So you look at that overall, and the one big pathway that I'd mentioned, one of the most positive things is the pathway between here and Lebanon and West Lebanon. That's the Mechanic Street and the Muskoma Greenway. We're preparing to build a path that will be, I think it'll be iconic. It'll be so significant. It'll be a pathway between our two downtowns, and that'll be the linkage that we have in front of us. There's more things in our capital plan than I've mentioned today, but those are like highlights. I would encourage each of you to go on the city website. You'll find there's a link that asks for 2014 city budget. And when you get in there, you'll see you can view my presentation. You can actually read it, and you can also listen to our last show. You have in it, you'll see the 2014 budget work session schedule. You'll also see the capital program I've just talked about in our outcomes and work plan and approved budget. There are a couple things coming up for you on this effort, and I encourage you to participate. We will be having, of course, the consideration at public hearing of the budget, which includes the CIP, and that's going to be on December 18th at 7 o'clock, and we really hope everyone that's interested comes and attends. There will be a budget discussion. You could hear counselors discuss it among themselves. They're going to be discussing this pilot concept on the December 4th regular meeting, and again starts at 7 o'clock. That discussion will probably occur somewhere later in the meeting, and that'll the council's members will discuss with one another the pilot. The pilot is a challenge out there, and so you have to when you take a challenge, you have to do assessment and evaluation. But we need the community to look at the challenge. Is the community, are we prepared to do this challenge? We need your thoughts. Then we need to have you at the public hearing again. And please use our Ask Leb. If you want to ask something about the budget, go on our website and ask Leb. Our counselors are wonderful people. They're available for your input. You can always give input to me, our finance director. You can always do these things, and we encourage you to do so. And if you have any question, I'm going to ask if CATV will put our telephone numbers again for your use. You can call our finance office at 603-448-0682, or you can call the city manager's office at 603-448-4220. I offer you the pilot for your due consideration. We have strong people here. These are difficult times. The only thing I can predict is everything's unpredictable. But I think if we prepare, if we do our homework, if we think broadly, if we think what is sustainable, that we can add more than we take from our community, and that we make investments that are appropriate to the right things in the right amounts, that are affordable yet challenging, we'll be able to get the journey done, and we'll be the sustainable Lebanon that we want to be on 2030. Thank you for your time today. Please go on the website, take a look at the CIP program, and take a look at the budget. This is Greg Lewis for Lebanon in Depth. Thanks for listening today, and I hope you're all doing well in Lebanon. I know I feel great about it, so I hope you do too.